Liquor store employees of Reddit. What is the craziest instance of underage kids trying to get bouncy you've ever encountered? I used to work at a bar. A girl came in and gave me an it. I asked if it was hers. She said yes. What she didn't realize is that the purse she stole the day before and the it she was now using belonged to one of the other bartenders. Calling her over to look at this was a satisfaction I have not felt before or since. I had a guy come in to try to buy bouncy with an absolutely terrible fake tattoo. Tattoos and alcohol have the same age restrictions here. I'm guessing he thought that if he had massive tribal tattoos down his arm we would just assume that he was old enough. He'd clearly done them with a felt tip pen, but it was a hot day, so the sweat was making them drip down his arm. I worked at a liquor and beer place adjacent to a grocery store. Lots of regulars and people from the neighborhood. For several weeks I had been serving this one guy. Pleasant, polite, early 20s, 6'4", maybe to 60 lbs. One day after he left, this older dude who was in line came up to the counter and said, "You know that kid is only 16, right?" I couldn't believe it. Apparently he rotates from store to store until he gets caught. Sure enough, next time he came in I asked for it. He just said, "God damn it," and stormed out of the store. I used to work at a store similar to a Walmart, and the rule was to ask anyone who looked younger than 40 for an it. Here in Western New York, Wetmans supermarkets card everyone. I am 62 and have to show it if I buy a beer. I worked in a liquor store for a few months back in 2001-2002. New Year's Eve, kid comes through with an out-of-state it, trying to buy a bottle of hooch. I look at it and tell him he's not old enough. He replied, "Oh, that must be my twin brother's license." He didn't get the bouncy. On my 21st birthday, I was waiting in line to buy a drink at a liquor stand at a festival. Extremely young girl in front of me tried to buy a Mike's Harder lemonade. The bartender took her it, laughed, and proceeded to ask the girl what her zodiac sign was. The girl just stared at her dumbfounded and walked away to cry to her other friends, who were also clearly under 16 years old. I worked overnight at a gas station. Kid rolled in around 2 a.m. with what looked like a legit it for being 21, but dude looked like a child. Also saw a cop car parked on the other end of the store. When I went to check if it was a sting, I told the kid, "We can't sell alcohol past 2 a.m. Ended up screaming at me, saying it's only 5 minutes past. Truth be told, it was just a cover to keep from telling him I wasn't going to let him buy it here. In college we threw this big party that needed people to wear wristbands if they were 21 and up. I was stuck hiding at the door for a bit, and this girl comes up, and there's definitely no way she's 21. And sure enough, when it's their turn, her and her group of friends all get that eerie silence that underage people do when they're hoping not to get caught by a bouncer. She shows me her id. It's my friend. Not just my friend, but my friend who had her purse stolen recently. I told her, "This isn't you." She said, "Yes, it is." I said, "No, it isn't. This is my friend. Where's her purse you took?" The entire group goes deer in the headlights. She drops the purse and they all take off. She had like 15 IDs in the purse. I was working behind a bar at a theme park. A kid who looked about 13 walked up to the bar and asked me for a beer. Of course, I asked him for it. His response was, "I left it in my car with my wife." Couldn't serve him, but could fault him for trying. Worked at a beer store divided by bar a few years back. Two kids come in, looked to be in their 20s. I wasn't behind the bar, so I'm only going on what was told to me, and sit at the bar. They call the bartender over an order, and she asks for IDs, which they present. She immediately sees something's weird about the card and calls over our boss, the owner, who takes a look and is like, "Yeah, that's pretty fake." Before they can even look up, these two dart down the back hallway towards the private dining room and our storage warehouse. I see my boss, another bartender, and the store manager go running after them, and I go through the door on my side of the building, hoping to either cut them off or at least keep them from getting out through the warehouse. Eventually, they try to hide in an empty dining room, while the owner calls the cops and negotiates with them through the door. So eventually the cops come and agree to take them out the back door, not through the restaurant area. While waking through the lot, the one asshole had the balls to say, "Oh, that's my car over there, officers," like he's gonna just drive home. The cop responds, "Oh yeah, well mine's just a little farther up, so let's take that one." As far as I know, that fake it is still tacked behind the bar like a hunting trophy. When I worked at Publix, they would do stings at other locations to ensure compliance, and would always use underage employees, that is, me, to do it. The problem was I had never had alcohol, and also was 5'9", 120 pounds, so when I awkwardly walked up to the counter to try and purchase Jack Daniels, the clerk and another customer saw me, looked at each other, and just started laughing their asses off. I was too embarrassed to even try to convince him and walked out of there dejected. They never asked me to go on a sting again. Not a liquor store worker, but when I was 18, I had this 10-year olds asked me to go and buy them any flagon of premix alcohol. I took their $10 and went and bought them the cheapest cola in store, which looked like a flagon of premix, and kept the change. So when I was in high school, I did Army cadets, pretty much scouts, but we wore Army uniform. By the time I was 16, I was already 6 foot tall. So Friday after we finished for the day, I went to the pub near my train station in uniform, and only got asked for it once, and just said I left it on base by mistake. And that was good enough for them to sell me a bottle of vodka. Write your stories in the comments, subscribe and watch our others videos.